It says that the meeting is being live streamed.
All right. Well, I think we are live. So hopefully we are. And unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of technical issues, so I'm not going to be able to use my computer for this, but I think we're going to try to make it work with this phone right here.
What's your YouTube channel so I can see if we're live?
Chelsea Colley.
Colley, Collie.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. We're live. Oh, 1 second.
All right. I'm going to assume that we are alive and working, and just want to say welcome tonight. Welcome to.
We're live, all right. I just checked.
Awesome. Thank you so much for checking that. Sorry, guys, my computer is not wanting to work all of a sudden, and so we're just winging it. We're just doing the best we can here, but we are live and we are here, and we have got the cosmic ambassador himself, the Mr. Wonderful, the Mr. Moment of the hour, Mr. Ismael Perez. Welcome, Ismael.
Thank you, Chelsea, for having me here again. I do appreciate your intro.
Well, thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, and I've got us here. So I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and I've been kind of stressed out because for some reason it's like I can access everything on my phone, but not being able to access anything on my computer right now. But that's okay because we're just gonna roll with it.
All right.
You said that you had just got home from your day job, and so I asked what your day job was. Would you mind sharing that?
Sure. I still have a daytime job that I do. I work for a marketing and advertising company. So on top of writing a book, my next book coming up, and on top of doing these interviews and speaking about disclosure and information, I do have another 3D life and stuff. So I try to balance everything out as much as I can. My day starts early in the morning at 4:35, and it doesn't end until like 11 at night. So I'm doing one thing, I'm moving from one thing to the next, so I'll keep myself really, really busy.
That's incredible. How do you keep such a good attitude all the time when you're going from one thing to the next, and you're just so busy and jam-packed, like, all day, every day?
I do it because I'm in a state of gratitude. I see the bigger picture. I see my mission, what I'm doing, my purpose. And so that's what keeps me going, is the fact that I do have a mission here on this earth, and I'm not going to stop till the mission is complete, and that is the activation and the awakening of mankind on a mass scale, the activation of the Starseeds. And to me, I take it very seriously. I need to keep my daytime job because I am supporting my 16-year-old boy. I'm helping out my 22-year-old daughter, who is now in her 4th year at a university, getting her bachelor's. And so I have a lot of expenses. So, I try to balance everything out. But most importantly, I'm true to my cause. I'm here to bring forth information, and I love it. I love what I do. I love my life. It's part of being human, I guess. We have to balance things out.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm so proud of you. Like, it really does seem like, despite everything you're going through, and even having your day job and taking care of your family, and helping your wife, be okay, helping take care of her, like, it just seems like on top of all of that, you are still everywhere and doing all these interviews, and you truly are living out your purpose, and you're doing it. Like, how does that feel to actually feel like you're actually making a difference?
It's gratifying in a sense where I'm fulfilling my destiny and service to the one infinite creator. It feels it's a joy, especially when people reach out to me from all over the world who have read my book and are constantly thanking me for the positive effect that the book has had on them, for the activation process they underwent. So the feedback is just amazing. I guess the information that I've provided has helped transform many lives, and to me that is priceless. And that's what keeps me going, is the fact that I'm helping so many people worldwide understand their mission, their purpose, and and understand their reconnection to their galactic family and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw an interview that David Icke did with London Real. Brian, is it Brian? But they did interview number 7 yesterday with London Real special with David Icke, and he was talking about how, like, we are all, like, we're meant for so much more, and it's all that we're not remembering. And so I love how you say that you're helping people to remember, because, like, what is it that we're missing? Because they're making us believe that this is a 3D world, and that, this is all there is, work and die and all that. Like, what is the potential within us that we're missing? Because they're making us, it's like they're taking away the spirituality of us, which is our true power. So I guess that's why they don't want us to know who we truly are, right? Because we are spiritual beings.
We're more than just spiritual beings. We're God's chosen people out of the entire universe and cosmos. We are the end result of the amalgamation of many different races that came together. We are the hope of the multiverse. And in a sense, when our dormant DNA comes online, we're going to be the most powerful beings ever. And that's part of the reminder. Part of the reminder is that we're all sleeping giants. It's just a matter of time before we snap into who we are as multidimensional, galactics in human form. And we're going to change history. We're going to be the catalyst for the new Earth. We're already doing it. And not only are we going to be the catalyst for the new Earth, but we're also going to be the leaders in the new Earth. And from this new Earth, we're going to be assisting many, many galaxies throughout the universe that are going to be needing our position as new guardians. They're going to be needing our talents as the new guardians of the multiverse to make sure that things do run accordingly and smoothly in the next cosmic cycle that we're about to enter.
That reminded me, I saw a little clip of you, I can't remember which video it was, but you were talking about how the creation process isn't something that was just like one and done. It's like, we are in a creation process. Like, this is a creation process. Like, creation will never end. We're still in it.
So yeah, creation is an ongoing process. The events that they call the Big Bang, which took place roughly about 14 billion years ago, is an event that is still existing. It's, as I speak, there's about 10 new universes that are coming into existence every day. So the universal architect, which is what we would all call God, all the extraterrestrials, the galactic, intergalactic, and cosmic communities, they all answer to the One, is still at work. The One, the universal architect, is still administrating its cosmic race to the different levels of reality, allowing for universes to come into existence, galaxies to form, and then, of course, giving the different levels of intelligence the opportunity to build upon that. So we have overseers of universes, and then underneath that we have game engineers, and then underneath those we have stellar and terraformers, and then underneath that we have biological engineers, and they're all working together to make life flourish. So there's different positions in the different levels of reality. that are all collaborating for the existence of everything. System
It's
building.
really interesting.
I was looking for there. We have system builders, and then underneath the system builders, we have the biological engineers.
That's deep, and it's hard to even like grasp that, because it's it's big. It's deep.
Thank you. And we are all part of that. Many of us are system builders. Many of us are game engineers. Many of us are biological, scientists in human form. Some of us are even guardians of universes and overseers. So you have different levels of people that have incarnated into this lower density, living like a regular human.
If we are like so great, and we're we are these like spiritual beings, and we are like very much more evolved than what we are right here right now, why do we have such a hard time? Like, why do we have such a hard time like with the day-to-day, and like all of the difficulties, and all the problems, and the getting angry, and the getting frustrated? Like, if we were so more advanced, like, wouldn't we do better? Like, I don't know, sometimes I'm just like, I'm greater than this, but it's hard to not get caught up in like getting angry and getting triggered by certain things.
Well, it's okay. It's part of the human experience. We have to explore every range of emotion of the spectrum. Without the lows, how can we identify with the highs and everything in between? So as much as we are doing our best to be high vibing, there's going to be moments and times where we are going to, drop into a low frequency and feel like we're getting into a depression or a dark night of the soul. And that is also part of the human experience. So all this is designed to humble us as the new guardians of universes. It would make more sense for us to undergo what it's like to experience the human condition, knowing that we're going to be harnessing and accessing unlimited power, or levels of power that have never been reached before by any guardian race. And so it would only be important for us to understand the human condition, so that we could be humble enough, so that we could be humble enough in order to use the power wisely and for good when we do have these abilities. So it's all part of the, I guess it's all part of the overall training. It's all temporary though.
Right.
It'll pass.
Do you see, like, for me, it just seems like everything is currently kind of just rising to the top. Like, everything is just a mess. It seems like, there's even been like a lot more space weather that I saw you guys discuss the other day on Mystic Arts channel, and, more solar flares. And it just seems like the emotions are just like bubbling to the top, and just all of the problems are like rising to the top. Does it seem like this is happening to you too?
Yes, we're experiencing that on an individual level and on a collective level.
Yeah, like what's going on right now?
What's happening is the final purge. The transformation of the planet happens in stages, in increments rather. So we're experiencing a huge purge right now of lower densities. So this is the time to really, work on our own personal growth, on things that hold us back from reaching that level of consciousness where we are enlightened and in constant peace, having a peace of mind and operating from the heart, and being compassionate. It's by will, power, and choice. And so we have to remember that, despite of the different spectrum of emotions, we have the power to overall control our thoughts and our emotions as spiritual beings. And so it's all part of the training. Everything that's happening in our lives, the challenges, the psychic attacks. Many starseeds around the world are reporting, psychic attacks, or reporting opposition, challenges with societal life, and it's part of, without this opposition, we wouldn't be getting stronger. It's polishing us. That's what it's doing. It's just polishing us. You know, there's this quote that says, what doesn't kill us will only make us stronger. And so all this opposition is designed to make us stronger. And in a way, we all kind of agreed to undergo this experience and this challenge from a higher perspective so that we could strengthen our spirit while we're exploring the human condition. So you could you know, blame our higher selves for that, for this experience, but it's all good, you know. In the end, it's all good.
Yeah, and it there's a couple little clips that I took on my phone, and I was going to play them for you and ask you what they thought, because it was just, they were really profound. And one of them was like Janine talking on Arcana Shores the other day when she was on live a couple days ago, and she was talking about how she pretty much assumes that she's going to learn the lesson. Like, there's a reason that this is happening in her life, like as far as any specific friction or problem, but there's a reason that this is happening, and she assumes that she is going to come to understand that reason or come to learn that lesson. And when she gets to the point where she is able to learn that lesson and say, thank you for this experience, then she knows that all of that friction and all of that like pain and turmoil is just going to dissipate away, because she has the inner knowing that she's going to learn the lesson. And she talks about being very careful about what she puts out there, what she discusses, because she realizes that everything she thinks about, talks about, visualizes is all going, like she's co-creating that. And so she's said, you know, she talks about being super careful about what she puts out there. And I just thought that was such a good perspective to have. Like, we are going to learn these lessons. We just have to figure out, okay, what is the lesson that I need to learn so that I can let go of this anger, let go of this pain, or, you know, whatever it is. So is that kind of, what do you think about all that?
I think that is, we should all be doing that. You know, we should all be careful with what we say and what we put out, because that has an effect on people. You know, words have power, emotions have power, thoughts have power. And so by monitoring what we say and only saying things that are going to only have a positive effect on people, that, you know, those are the things that we should put out, you know, not any negative things or anything like that. We should be careful with what we say. You know, we're here to uplift humanity. And so it is I guess it's part of our mission and our duty to make sure that when we do speak, it's for the greater good. Yeah.
And I heard you talk about that before, how kind of we have to be responsible for our thoughts.
Yes. Yeah.
And responsible for our words.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Because they create reality.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wanted to, if you don't mind, like, to just kind of do like a deep dive on you, and if you don't mind, like, talk about your childhood again, and kind of, because you were that starseed, and you were, you know, like, told you were wrong, kind of, and I can relate with that. And you know, for me, it was like, you know, they told me I was depressed and all this, and bipolar, and you know, put me on a bunch of medications, you know, in college. And kind of like what they do in the beginning is say, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. And they put that out there. But I know how it feels to you know, to be different, but then to also say, because like you don't fit in like society's mold, then like shame on you, like there's something wrong with you. And I think we're coming to understand, like as we people like us rise up and we all connect and we see that we're all experiencing a lot of these same things. Like we are like the star seeds, and we do have a greater mission. And the reason that we like couldn't stay silent our whole life and just accept all of this is because like we have a bigger purpose. And you also, I know this is a lot, saying a lot, but you lost your mom at the age of 16, and you were young, you know, and I think you said that she was sick, but it probably, I don't know if it came as a shock or not, but for me, I actually lost my mom when I was 16, and it was a sudden car accident, and it was just one day, like her and her fiance were just gone. And like, so we have a lot in common in ways that we were kind of like stifled. And then we also, both of us, lost our mom at the age of 16, which, you know, forced us to kind of like grow up really quick. But also, like you said, that you had a rebellious phase, and you're like, had a rebellious phase after that. Well, so did I. So I kind of experienced a lot of the same things that you did. But instead you actually like got it out of your system, and then you went and you like studied for 20 some odd years, and you really dove deep, and I didn't take that route. I went to college and stayed on that party path for too long. So yeah, I mean, talk about that. Talk about like, you know, how that made you feel and everything as a child growing up, and, you know, how you were able to kind of overcome that.
Sure. So I was labeled with having ADHD when I was in elementary school. By the time I got to junior high, they said that I was testing in the spectrum of autism. And they never said I was bipolar, but they did say that I fit somewhere in the spectrum of autism. And those are just categories that they give us in order to
Wow.
stigmatize us, because, you know, according to new discoveries in the scientific field, we're actually the beginning of the next stage of human evolution. That's why our brains and our minds are wired differently than the rest of the humans on this earth. And so that's why it's hard for us to fit in. It was hard for me to have friends in school because I was an abstract thinker. I was a visionary. I would sit in the back of the class and just daydream. And they thought I was just staring off into empty space, but little did they know that I was having visions. Nobody ever wanted to be my friend, you know, because I was different. It was very hard for me to hold conversations because I would like to talk about deeper things, and everybody was just talking about surface things that didn't really matter to me. So I spent most of my time in high school just hanging out with the custodians and the janitors, just because, you know, they understood what I was saying, you know, and they would always say, Ishmael, why aren't you hanging out with kids your age, you know? And I said, well, nobody wants to be my friend. So it was very hard for me to have friends in high school. I did rebel though at the age of 16. I became really fascinated by the political aspect or the political lyrics of punk rock, because it was all anti-establishment, anti-orthodox, anti-religion, anti-government, anarchy, and freedom. And that really resonated with me as a teenager. So I ended up getting some tattoos. I, you know, got my hair all longed out. In one case, I even got mohawk. I started dressing with Dr. Martens up to my knees, with ripped jeans, chains, and I looked punk. And I even played in a band, just a little local garage band. Writing lyrics, and my lyrics were very deep, philosophical, and anti-establishment. So, you know, when I was a teenager, I was into anarchy and freedom, and I do still have my anarchy tattoo on my left shoulder. I have a fuck authority tattoo on my right forearm.
Wow.
From the I'm sorry to cuss on the channel. Fudge Authority, taken from Pennywise, the band. It was one of their albums, FUCK Authority. And I have it like just right there, obvious, right across my forearm, and that followed me everywhere. One day in high school at the age of 16 and a half, it was right after school, and because I was very, very intelligent at that level, at that point, I had read a lot of books on political theory, on philosophy, Plato's Republic. I was considered an intellect to the punk rockers and the Hessians and those rebellious kids during those days. And so one day I was burning an American flag in public, preaching anarchy and freedom, saying, this is the death to all government. We should all be sovereigns unto ourselves. All government is oppressive. And that's my teenage life. I ended up getting busted. Some of the neighbors called the police. It was right outside of the school. And so I attracted a big mob of people, not mob, but a large crowd. That's the word, a large crowd of people that were actually, cheering me on in my statements of anti-establishment and preaching anarchy and freedom. And so they called the police, and
That's awesome.
I went to juvenile hall for preaching anarchy and burning an American flag in public. So those were my rebellious days. But really, Chelsea, that's what really started me off in my journey of self-discovery. I became very depressed when my mother passed away. Now, the reason my mother passed away was because my sister passed away 2 months prior to my mother passing away. I had a 2-year-old who drowned in a swimming pool, and that was very tragic and heartbreaking. So sorry. And so my mother couldn't bear the pain, and she started taking a lot of medication just to kind of, soothe her pain. And one day she just, I think she took too much, and it made her heart stop. And so I was about 16 and a half, maybe, right before I hit 17. And I just remember getting a call from one of my aunts saying, Ishmael, we have to go see your mother. Something happened. And I just, I've always been intuitive, and I kind of knew at that point. I felt like her spirit was already speaking to me. And I got to my destination at one of my other aunts' house. I have like 9 aunts. My mother was one of 10. They're all women. I was raised by women, by the way. And I got to my other aunt's house, and there she was. Her body was there, and I just remember just looking at her and tears coming out and getting really emotional. And I just about lost it. I lost it. I didn't know how to react. I started yelling and screaming, saying, why did you leave now? I had a 12-year-old sister and an 11-year-old brother, and I felt like I had to just take care of them. But we moved in with my grandmother right away, and my grandmother helped raise us just for about 2 years. And then once I turned 18, I ended up getting my first job at a pizza place. And I had a car, so I was a delivery boy. I was delivering pizzas, and I was able to get my own little place in a house. I was renting out a room for like $400 a month, utilities paid for and everything, and that worked out for me. I've been on my own ever since I was 18. But I did develop a drinking problem. I became an alcoholic when my mother passed away. That didn't stop until maybe about 3 to 4 years later, when I went to rehab to clean my act and stuff. So my childhood, my teenage life experience was very different. I didn't have a normal teenage life. But again, all that experience, all that stuff that I experienced and went through was necessary for me to discover who I am. Eventually, after I cleaned up my alcoholism, I haven't drank it since. I haven't drank in over 20 something years. I'm 44 now. I stopped drinking when I was 20, so 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you also lost a baby sister and your mother.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, I still talk to her. We're connected. She's already in the 5th dimension of Earth, and we still communicate telepathically. And she's proud of my work. She's cheering me on from behind the scenes. And she guides me and protects me. She says
You make me cry again.
She says I have a whole legion of angels and non-physical beings that are assisting me, and I have nothing to worry about. And that's why I go forward. I go forward without fear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, if you felt like you had a connection. So you definitely have the connection to your mom still, and she is one of your angels, and I know she's one of mine too. I know my mom is one of my angels. And what about your sister? Did you ever feel like you communicated with her?
My sister is a single mother. I
The
do have a
sister
good.
you lost.
Oh no, yes, her. That's my other sister. I'm sorry. So I do have a sister that's 4 years younger than me that I have a really good
Okay,
relationship with. She's a single mom.
great.
Um, but both my brother and my sister have a younger brother that's 5 years younger than me, and I also have a very good relationship with them. And they're not like us. They're different. So they don't. Like I say, they're not starseeds. They're regular Earthlings, normies, but they're good. We still have a good relationship. They're still proud of me. They think, I have a gift and they think that I should pursue it. They've always thought that. They always used to tell me that I was different. And my little sister who passed away when she was 2, who she probably would have been 27 by now, 26. I do communicate with her telepathically.
Awesome. That's incredible. I actually have a friend, her name is Nicole Clark, and her daughter died in a swimming pool as well. And she was not even 2 years old. And this happened 2 years ago. It was just such a sad tragedy. But she actually has communicated with her daughter as well. And I can share a link to her book, but she wrote a book. It's called Letters with Envy, and her daughter has been her spiritual teacher through this process. And my friend Nicole Clark, she's made all this art now. She creates this geode art, which is just really beautiful with this resin art. So shout out to my friend Nicole. She lost her 2-year-old as well, her little baby girl. And it's hard, it's hard to deal with loss. And but it's crazy how it is possible to have a better relationship with someone after they pass.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to also understand that there is no such thing as death. It's only a transition. That's one of the things that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations do when after their lifespans in some cases are thousands and thousands of years. So when they pass, they transition, they celebrate. They celebrate the transition. They don't mourn and grieve like we do. They actually celebrate transition into the next dimension or wherever it is where their new journey is going to take place. And it's different in the higher dimensions. It's just transition.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I did want to talk a little bit about that and about that connection that we had. And you talked about your day job and the grind that you keep up with. How's everything with your family? How's everything? How's your wife?
She's still doing the same. She's not getting any better. She's just hanging on. She's fighting, but there is no cure for her illness. So she's hanging in there, and my kids are doing well. My son is getting straight A's. He's a 4.0 student, and he's a junior already. So I'm sure many universities are going to be fighting to get him on at that grade with that GPA, A. My daughter is about to get her bachelor's in screenwriting. That's what she's majoring in. And yeah, she's doing great as well. She's on her own. She lives with her girlfriend, her partner rather, and they have a very good relationship. And I think she's going to marry her one day. And I'm going to walk her down the aisle when she marries her partner.
That's awesome. That's great. I'm so happy to hear that. And what is your wife's name so we can pray for her?
Her name is Carrie.
Carrie. Awesome. Okay. Well, I did want to pray for her in a little bit, and I don't have my timer, so I don't even know where we're at on time. Do you?
We have 40 minutes still.
Okay, cool. Okay. Because yes, my phone is on Zoom and I can't even see the time now. So I saw that you did an interview with Jason Shirka the other day, and that was very interesting. And I saw that you talked about about your reincarnation of King Solomon, and you were that was one of your past lives, and you talked about how you would have some of the similar activities where you would like get up and you would exercise and you would work out and like eat healthy and like be very spiritual, and you were also a writer. So do you have actual memories? So you do have actual memories of being King Solomon? And if so, can you describe what it was like to be in the Holy of Holies?
Well, I've always been in a position of guardianship in all my incarnations, not just as Solomon, but as Solomon, I do remember one of the relics that I heavily protected was the Ark of the Covenant. And that was in my temple, underneath my temple. I always kept it in a safe place. It was the most valuable possession to guard and protect from getting into the hands of the dark side, of the dark ones. They always coveted that, because he who held the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, would have access to other, supernatural abilities. And that probably explains why he was the most advanced magician, the alchemist. Some even considered him a demigod, because his way of being was really, really advanced in comparison to the existing Homo sapiens of those days. And in some cases, some cultures wanted to worship him, but he would humble himself and he would say, no, I'm working for the one God. I'm here as an instrument. Do not worship me. And I just remember having many, many wives, but it wasn't for the reason of sexual gratification. It was for the reason of proliferating my seed. I was a seeder. As a king, I've always been a seeder. And so that explains why the Holy Grail existed, and why today 13% of the human population is Rh negative, because that is the lineage that could be traceable back to the seraphim of the guardians that began with Michael the Archangel. In other words, Michael the Archangel is the progenitor of that seed. King David and Solomon were just his descendants, and so that's the reason why I had many wives back then. It wasn't because I wanted to be a polygamist, it was because I needed to proliferate the seed that gave birth to Jesus, Mary Magdalene, the council, the community of Qumran of the Essenes, the seed that gave rise to the many, many different Rh negative people that exist in the 21st century. And that explains why scientists can't figure out where their genetics come from. That's why women who are Rh positive have to take the Rogan shot to have an Rh negative baby. It's because the Rh negative blood is the blood of the angelics, or they could call it extraterrestrial. And so those were just a few memories. As far as I used to love berries. As Solomon, I would eat berries all day long. I love nuts, lots of almonds and cashews and peanuts and stuff. I do remember eating a lot of vegetables, and I just remember being 6'4". I was huge and very muscular built. And I was a warrior. I was very advanced and trained in all the fighting arts, martial arts, everything. But I was also a wizard, a white wizard, guardian of many secrets, guardian of relics. I was also chief advisor of other emperors and kings from Egypt. I just remember the kings of Akkad, Syria, and Egypt would always come to me for advice. And that's why throughout history, I was considered the wisest man on the planet. But all my wisdom as Solomon came from God. As the knowledge that I'm revealing today, I don't claim to be, the person. I don't claim to be the sole carrier of this knowledge, but rather the sole giver of this knowledge. I give all credit to God. I'm only tapping into just infinite aspects or portions of his infinite intelligence as I'm writing these books and as I'm, revealing information. Prime Creator Source knows everything. Prime Creator Source has access to unlimited knowledge. I don't yet. But even Solomon drew from him. Solomon drew information from Prime Creator Source. And yeah, there's just many parallels, not just as Solomon. I also remember existing in the 16th century in Europe, in Sweden. And back then I was known as the man of the mountains, the healer. And just like Solomon, I would advise the sovereign nation states against the empire. I would assemble armies in order to protect freedom. And our enemy was always Babylon and Rome. I just always remember that. The Roman Empire was always our enemy. So in every incarnation, I was like a Gandalf figure, like a wizard. And then according to some lady who did a past life regression, there was some cases where I was also born as a king. And my last incarnation was as a king in France and a king of Spain, in a kingdom known as Septimania, which existed 1,000 years ago. After that, my family had to seek refuge because there was, again, an attempt to destroy the bloodline. There's always been an attempt to destroy the bloodline by Babylon, Rome, which is ruled by Draco. So yeah, that's our rivaling bloodline, is the Draco lineage of the Cabal families. And so, yeah, that's all I remember. And oh yeah, and I was also a warrior. So I was either a wizard, a king, or a warrior. And now I am all three. I'm the composite of all my incarnations.
Yeah, I can see that. I can. So there are a lot of people that talk about King Solomon using King Solomon like had his own demons, and King Solomon took money from people and didn't give it back. Like King Solomon was very rich and had all these riches, but he didn't give it back to the people. What do you have to say about that?
Those were what instigated those rumors were the powers that be, Rome, of course, because like I said, Rome has always been our biggest enemy. And those are lies. King Solomon was one of the reasons why he was the God's chosen during those days, and seer, prophet, and revelator, and guardian, chief guardian of earth, was because of his big heart. And he would always give money away. Yes, he was a depository of all these treasures, but all these treasures came from off-world resources. See, one of the things that people fail to mention is that Solomon was interacting positively with the seraphim, which we call the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians and Solomon would always have meetings. He would call them his unseen helpers. So there was a lot of extraterrestrial activity taking place by the benevolent ones. He also had contact with the Syrians and the Lyrans, of course, because his lineage began in Lyra. His lineage began in the Vega star system 600 million years ago, and through the positive Anunnaki lineage of Anu and Enlil, that's how, or Enlil Zeus, through Zeus, which is the Greek version of the guardian of Earth in Atlantean times. Zeus was the one who, deposited the bloodline on the Earth, which eventually evolved into the lineage of King David and Solomon. So yeah, that was all rumors. In fact, he used to slave demons. He used to slave and put to work the demons of Goyim, I think. And the demons used to fear him. He used to wear this ring of power that would literally enslave the demons. And that ring was an extraterrestrial artifact that allowed him to harness the energy needed to enslave and pretty much terrorize these demons to the point where the demons feared him. So it's actually the other way around. He was a demon and enslaver, and he was a demon. He would inflict torture and pain on demons because the demons would do that to humans. Well, he would do the same to demons. And that's why many demonic forces, and including Belial Baal Marduk, who is the Draco that has been controlling the Cabal families, feared him because of his power. He was the equivalent on Earth of Michael. What Michael is in the heavens, Solomon was the equivalent during his reign.
Yeah, that's something I didn't understand either, because I wouldn't want to enslave demons. I would want to tell them they have free will and send them back to the light. So that's one thing that I wasn't I don't understand why he would want to enslave demons or torture demons.
Because the demons were doing that to humans, so he was doing it back to them. And I'm going to be honest with you, in the astral realm, I'm still slaying demons. In fact, I'm pissing off a lot of Cabal families, because in the astral realm, I'm destroying a lot of their Dracos and dragons and, dark entities that are associated with that lineage. And there's been a few people that have been sending me threats, but yet again, I have special protection, and there's nothing they can do. But I'm here to end the lineage of the Draco. I'm here to, they've always been my ancestors' rival bloodline, and I'm here to put an end to that, to slay the red dragon. It's Lucifer, whatever you want to call it. Anki's lineage.
I have about had it with these controllers myself, so yeah, I do I see how it's important to, we got to fight this fight. Like, we just can't roll over and let them do this to us. They're gonna kill us all if we let them. So we got to fight this fight. So, props to you for fighting the good fight. And that's what they're scared of, right? When we all find our own true power and we are all truly ignited and united, and if we come together in love despite our differences, that is the true power. And that is the whole reason I'm here, I believe, is to help elevate the world with the power of love. And once we can really just come together despite our differences and owning and standing in our own true power, that's what makes the demons scared. And that's what, makes the controllers, that's their worst fear, is us waking up, right? And so my whole goal is to be able to elevate through love. And your whole goal is to be able to wake up and help co-create that human, that heaven on earth. See, they tried to do it. They tried to co-create that heaven on earth. And that's what I've heard you talk about many times, is that heaven on earth is coming. And this is us right now preparing for it. So, cheers to you and any other people like us that are trying to get the word out there to co-create that or facilitate that heaven on earth.
That's the mission. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But I have a score to sell with my family's oppressors. There's been various times where my ancestors were burned at the stake. The last one being Jacques de Molay, who was the last of the Grand Masters of the Knights of the Templar, the order that protected the priority of Zion, of what we call the Holy Order of the Grail, which went to Scotland and France.
Jacques de Molay, do you mind spelling that so I can look that up?
And the British Isles. That's where the Holy Grail went. It went to Spain, it went to Scotland, and the British Isles. So even the story of King Arthur is related to that. He was the rightful heir to the throne of England. Yeah. What is it you want me to spell?
You said Jacques de Molay? What's that?
It's a French name, Jacques de Molay. He was the last of the Grand Masters before they were oppressed and executed by the Inquisition of the Catholic Church in 1307. It was Friday the 13th, actually, when they burned him at the stake. Friday the 13th, in the year 1307, they burned him. And he was like Solomon. He was a white magician, wizard, alchemist, leader of the Knights of the Temple that were in charge of excavating the ruins of Solomon's temple. And of course, in those ruins was the Ark of the Covenant and a lot of those treasures that were left behind by Solomon. And that's why after their persecution of 1307, they began to camouflage themselves as pirates, and they became the original pirates. And that's why they went to the different islands to store some of that gold, and X always marked the spot. So the whole concept of the Pirates of the Caribbean were stories echoing the real, those that survived the Inquisition the Templars that later reorganized as the Pirates, and they just became the Pirates to confuse the Vatican and, of course, the British East India Company that was working for the Vatican during those days. They were known as the Brotherhood of the Coast, and they were working in tandem with the reorganized Masons of Scotland, the original good Masons, of course, in which our founding fathers were a part of, before the corruption of the Freemasons after the establishment of our country. Not the Masons of today, but the original Masons were good. And they were working together with the, Brotherhood of the Coast. And yeah, so that's how the remnant Templars were able to reorganize under different auspices and different organizations to continue the agenda, which is the millennial project of establishing the second republic on the planet. The first republic existed in Greece approximately 2,500 years ago. That was known as the Republic of Solon of Athens. The Republic of Solon of Athens. So we haven't had a republic in almost 2,600 years. But thanks to the Knights Templars and the Brotherhood of the Coast, the seafaring pirates, who were actually the good guys, they were only attacking vessels of the Vatican, right? And the British East India Company under the control of the Pope. So the ultimate enemy has always been the Pope, to my family, or to my ancestors, the Vatican. But yeah, that's just a little brief history. And I reveal a lot of that in my first book, The Secret Government, which I'm trying so hard to re-edit it, and not only re-edit it, but republish it and, create a second edition for you guys to read. There's just so much knowledge in that book. So I'm working on that.
Awesome. So you still have the transcript? Because I heard you say you don't even have a copy of your own book. That is just crazy.
I found somebody who has the file, so I just have to pay him a ridiculous amount of money to get my file, which sucks.
Oh my gosh.
I deserve that book because I put so much research into that first book. It took me like 5-7 years to research it and write it. I published it when I was 28, in 2008. I was younger. And oh my God, that book has so much. It made the Da Vinci Code look like candy as far as like the revelations of in that book. And I think it got in the hands of the wrong person, people that were working for the cabal. And they did everything in their power to suppress it from getting into like bookstores, Barnes & Nobles, because it was in the process of getting out into bookstores. And after that, the remaining copies, they just disappeared. Or they were bought off by these rich corporations under the cabal families. And now they're trying to sell copies for like $2,000, $500. It's ridiculous here and there on Amazon. So yeah, I'm trying to get the rights back from that so that I can republish it as well. Again,
I hope so. I hope we can all help manifest that. You shouldn't have to pay any money to get your original writings back. And I would love to read that. I was actually going to buy a copy that at $200, and I went back to get it and it was gone. Like that's how badly I wanted to read it.
Well, I'll let you know as soon as I'm able to. I'm going to re-edit it. I'm going to actually proofread it just to make sure I'm happy with it, and then I'm going to do a second edition, and then I'm going to just let everyone know it's out when the time comes. But awesome. In that book, the secret history of the brotherhoods. We have the Luciferian Brotherhood, which is controlled by Babylon and Rome, and then we have the Melchizedek Brotherhood, which was the brotherhood that was working with the descendants of King David, Solomon, Jesus, Mary, and Magdalene, and then of course the Holy Order of the Grail, or the Priority of Zion. And by the way, Zion to me means the free world. It's the land of milk and honey. It was the promise that was left to Abraham through the Archangel Melchizedek, and that's why you got the Melchizedek priesthood. So I am a Melchizedek high priest, and so yeah, that's why I call myself Project Restoration Zion on Instagram, because to me it's about it's the meaning of bringing and restoring heaven to earth. And in the movie The Matrix, it's also the place where the free humans live, Zion they call it. So it's nothing to do about the Khazarian Zionist Bolsheviks. Those are different Zionists. The Zionists and Zion are two different aspects, or two different things. You could say that the Khazarian Bolshevik Zionists are cabal. They're Rothschilds and gang, right? But the original word, this is the thing, the dark hats always invert the good things, they always invert it. But the original word Zion means the promised land, means the republic, the sovereign nation state democracy, as opposed to the totalitarian system of an empire or fascist system, which is what we've always been fighting. So this ongoing war against fascism or against the NWO has always existed throughout history. it's just under different names. The Holy Roman Empire, right, throughout the Dark Middle Ages. Before that, the Roman Empire. Before that, the Macedonian Empire. Before that, the Persian Empire, and of course, all roads lead to Babylon, where it originated, the Babylonian Empire. Yes.
Yeah, and going back on that, so on Jason Shirka, I think he mentioned something about David and how David was different from King Solomon, and that David was more harsh. Do you agree with that? As far as like King David was a lot more violent.
Yes, he was. I do believe that King David did kill a man in order to marry his wife. He did several things.
This is the same guy we're talking about that killed Goliath, right? Just to be clear.
Yeah, this is the same that killed Goliath. Yeah, he fell in love with one of the princesses from another province, and he ended up killing her husband just so they could be together. And then, of course, the Bible says he later repented. But yeah, he was more of a warring type of king. He was all about preserving the kingdom of Jerusalem, the kingdom of the first Israelites, so right, the original house of David. That's what they call it, the house of David. And so yeah, he was always involved in war and military, but it wasn't so much him trying to expand his empire, but it was more so him trying to defend his empire from the Babylonians and Assyrians and the Akkadians who were always trying to destroy Israel, but that's the reason why he was a warring king. But when the time came for Solomon to reign, it was different. Solomon did things more magically. He was able to use his magic to seduce the other emperors and kings into aligning with him. So he did things more through the mind than through physical violence, because like I said, he was more advanced than his father, spiritually speaking.
Awesome. And then so Mary Magdalene and Jesus and or Yeshua, they all came from this line. And what do you have to say? Like, do you believe that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were actually married and had children?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah. The story of the wedding of Cana in the Bible was actually his wedding. When he converted the water to wine, he was the ultimate alchemist. And I guess this is going to be very hard for some to digest, but Jesus was also a white wizard. He was an advanced alchemist, astrologer. He studied under the yogis. He went to Tibet. He went to Egypt. He went to India, and he learned all the mystic arts. And he was also a very a maverick martial artist. He developed his mind to the point where he felt no pain. And in some cases, some believe that he actually survived the crucifixion. He overcame the wounds. And then, of course, later, his family, the community of Qurans, of the Essenes, were able to cure his wounds. And then the saying goes that he went to India, and then he went to France, and then he died in Spain at the age of 79.
I was actually going to ask you if you believe the crucifixion happened. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest heresies to the organized Orthodox Christian organization. But more importantly, Mary Magdalene was his equal. Just like how he had the 12 apostles, and I might get some haters for this, I always do, but truth is truth. She also had the 12 Magdalenes. So she was as equal to him. She represented Sophia, and he represented the Christ. Sophia and the Christ are, it's the feminine and the masculine energies coming together in one union. As Isis and Osiris did during the Egyptian times. That's another example of bringing the Sophia and the Christ energies together as one. There were many incarnations of the Christ. Dionysus of Greece. What's his name? Zoroastrian. Was it Zoroaster? Yeah. Persia. Talmud of Babylon. So these are all different incarnations of the Christ.
You just dropped a whole bunch of good stuff, and I agree. I started, actually Esoteric Atlanta, Bryce actually kind of opened me up a little bit to understand about Sophia. And I never thought God was a man. I never actually agreed with that. a man. We didn't all come from a man. Like, God is not a man. He's not man or woman. Like, we can say mother, father, God, goddess. You can call spirit, source. But there's a divine feminine and there's a divine masculine. And Sophia, wasn't Sophia reincarnated as Mary Magdalene? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Oh, the Persian version of the incarnation of Christ was Sarustra. The Zoroastrianism is the religion that they developed after him, just like, you know, the Christians developed a religion after Jesus and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because like everything was like originally from God, right? That they inverted. And I think we are understanding that now. I think it's more clear now than ever. And when we see what the controllers have done, and we do recognize the system and the Luciferian system that's in charge of everything in our world right now, including like the, you know, entertainment and medical and financial and like everything. How about the Ankh? Like, was this actually the original cross?
Absolutely, yes.
And they actually they lied about Jesus's name, and they lied about the cross. So they even changed the cross, which is supposed to look like this.
Yes, because that's the balance of the feminine. You know, the top represents the wound of the, you know, the male organ, and the bottom represents the penis of a male organ. And there you go. See the Ankh. It's just like in my book.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Ankh.
Okay, yeah. So you agree that they changed this, and this was also to represent the connection with spirit, the loop.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what can we do to wrap this up? Because I know you have to go and take care of your family and everything. What can we do to just co-create this Operation Heaven on Earth? What can we do right now? What can we all do to help facilitate this turning and the changing of our current upside down world?
We're already doing it. The fact that we're on platforms speaking our truth, it's helping to speed up the collective into a mass awakening. Everyone is, in that regard, everyone is a white hat. You're a white hat. Terrified Janine is a white hat. Michael Jaco. All these truthers are they're part of the Earth Alliance. Whether we're not connected, even if we're not connected by blood or military positions, such as Mr. T and, you know, Mr. P of Russia and all those other leaders that are activists in the white hat movement, we're still white hats. The fact that we're spreading the truth and we're out here trying to wake people up, we are white hats. So we are already doing it, Chelsea. You know, the fact that you have this channel, you're a white hat, and it's brave. You know, we're all brave. The fact that we're doing this tells us that we don't have any fear. You know, so I guess my message to everyone is continue spreading the truth. You know, but never forget to research things for yourself. Don't take things face value. You know, even research my information. I always tell people, read my book and do your own research. You know, the whole point is for you to just take what resonates and take what doesn't resonate, because overall we're all putting the pieces of the puzzles together. You know, that's what it's all about. We're all trying to figure out the bigger picture. And we are, as long as we keep working as a community, as a Starseed, you know, race that we are, then we're going to fulfill our mission to bring heaven on earth.
Absolutely. And I just want to read this little bit from page 221 of your book. You talk about, first, we must understand that Jesus embodied the highest field of consciousness, referred to as cosmic consciousness. Cosmic consciousness is a field of energy that is now available to everyone because of the restoration of heaven on earth. It is a sense of realizing that in creation is one, and attempting to merge our individualized unit of consciousness with the universal mind of everything in existence. It appears that the Christ, or Christ consciousness, mind, which is a vibration of pure light, is becoming realized and activated already. At the great shift of energy and ages, all of humanity remaining will embody the Christ universal mind field. And also it made me think of how you know how they talk about the rapture? It's almost like the solar flash that you talk about is almost like the rapture for the bad people. And I feel it. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's already happening. And, eventually it will come to that point, according to your sources, where we do that timeline split. But it might not be the rapture for us. It might be the rapture for them.
Or the harvest, where the good people go one way and the evil people go the other way.
Right.
When the splitting of timelines takes place, they're going to be separated. The tares from the wheat are going to be separated.
Okay. Well, I mean, we see what they're doing, and we see, what the controllers have done. We've seen how they manipulated religion and the Bible, and we see how they lied to us about Jesus's name, and they chopped off the connection to Christ on the cross itself, and their jig is up. The game is up.
It is.
So there truly are no limits, and we're doing this. Like, we're doing this thing, and it's happening. So I want to say a big thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you're helping people with little channels like me, like, to actually be able to rise up and connect with all of the other light workers that are also doing their part. And a big thank you to Ishmael. Thank you to you, Ishmael, because what you're doing is you're putting all the puzzle pieces together for us. And it's really making a lot of sense. So I just want to really thank you for the important work that you're doing.
You're welcome, Chelsea, and I will continue doing it. I have a mission, and it's not even about myself. It's about fulfilling the prophecies of establishing heaven on earth for me, and to me that's more valuable than anything. So, and that's why I sacrificed my life, many years of research and dedication to understanding, the bigger picture. Why I wrote the books that I did was because I was doing it to serve, to bring forth this information to others. Now, for those that haven't had a chance to order my book, it is the most revealing book of the millennium, I guess. It is a book that activates you. It is a mind opener. It is a life-changing book. Everybody that's read it I'm getting so many positive feedback. Yeah, people are loving it. It's changed their lives in a positive way. They feel like it triggered a greater awakening for them in understanding the bigger picture, the galactic history, and all that stuff. And I still have a few spots left in my December course for Starseed Cosmology. For those that want to take my course, I still have a few spots left for my December class. And I can give you the links if it's okay.
Yep, I will put it in the description box, and it is definitely activating, that's for sure. Thank you so much for your time, and just want to say love and light and prayers to all, sending white healing light to everyone. Embrace that inner strength, embrace that inner, like, Christ, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's nothing above us. Like, there is no separation. We have always been, and we always will be. So, like, let's just embrace the heaven on earth and embrace this love in each other now. And I pray for healing for Carrie, your wife, and just help her to be comfortable during this time. And thank you very much. And just want to say thank you for being here.
You're welcome. And the last reminder, we are what all the prophecies have been expecting. We are the return of the Elohim. Every single one of us.
That's pretty cool, man. There we go. I got a chuckle. That was my goal. So we got it. All right. Well, thank you so much. Much love to all. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.